Hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to a brand new review of my Doctor Who marathon. Now, for the past couple of days I've not been well at all. I've been having a serious cold and it's been really stressful for me, not for me getting well, and so I am well on today because I really wanted to continue my Doctor Who marathon because I felt not doing any videos just really felt very boring, and so today I'm going to continue with my Doctor Who marathon, which we're going to be reviewing today the second Dalek story of Doctor Who, which is the Dalek Invasion of Earth. And so, just before we start this video, I just want to say that I have been decorating in my room, which I've been putting tinsel up around my room. I have a stocking, I have a snowman on the window for no apparent reason, but I decided to put it on there just because it's Christmas, and my fabulous Doctor Who Christmas jumper, which is amazing and I just absolutely love it. It's just brilliant. Anyway, let's get into the review of the Dalek Invasion of Earth, written by Terry Nation. Arriving in a devastated London in the middle of the 21st century, the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan discover that the Daleks have invaded Earth. Will the human race be enslaved by the evil Daleks, or can the Doctor stop their audacious plans and save mankind from extermination? Well, do you know what I think about this story? That I think that this story is much better than the original Dalek story. Personally, I prefer this one over than the Daleks, for two reasons why. One, in the story, the Daleks are more menacing, more manipulative compared to the other Daleks, and then also, this one is only 6 episodes long. The other one, which I reviewed, was 7 episodes long, and I can understand that why I like this as a 6-parter, because it's an invasion episode. Most of the invasion episodes that I have, there are about 8 parts, such as the invasion in Patrick Troughton. So I really do like this story for many reasons, and it's because it has a really great many iconic scenes. It is just so creepy, and so the Daleks just are so menacing, and just they have so many good characters in it, and just the rebels, they're really good. And so I don't know where to start off. I think I'd start off with the beginning. Episode 1. Episode 1 is just creepy. Just so quiet, it's just, you can hear everything. Like, it's just, there's completely nothing. You can't hear birds tweeting, there's no traffic around, there's Big Ben's not, dinging, ding dong. It's just, there's complete silence. There's absolutely nothing in London. It's absolutely abandoned. And so just really seemed very quiet and very unusual just to see having no people around. Just really makes the atmosphere very intensifying and very atmospheric, really. I think for most of the stories that I have described, they are really atmospheric. But this one just really creeps me out because it's just so quiet. And just whenever I see a story that is just so quiet, I really have a feeling that something else is going to happen, in the next couple of minutes, which just builds up so much good suspense, which I quite like in many episodes. In episode 1, episode 1 cliffhanger, it's just brilliant. The Dalek coming up from the River Thames, it's just brilliant. I'm not sure if I'm saying River Thames or Thames wrong, I get mixed up. Anyway, the Dalek, comes out from the water and just completely shocks Ian and the Doctor from, they were thinking of making an escape plan because these guys with their metallic, helmet on, or called Robomen, they got captured by them, and then they tried to make an escape plan of diving into the water. But as the Doctor said again when they were explaining in the episode, it's forbidden to dump bodies into the river. Why would they go into the river if it's contagious? So they would literally die if they had to dive into the water. But no, they saw the Dalek and like, oh my gosh, the Daleks are here on Earth. Like, what are they doing? Yeah. So that was literally just like, whoa. Oh my gosh, the Daleks have invaded Earth. For people who actually watched the story back in the 1960s, they had no idea of why this is called the Dalek Invasion of Earth, because the original episode is called World's End, and no one knows why London is so deserted. And then they suddenly see the Dalek, like, oh my gosh, the Daleks are back. And personally, what I kind of, found out that the cliffhanger in episode 1 is actually Capaldi's favourite scene, and it's actually his childhood scene that he saw from the Dalek Invasion of Earth, and it is his childhood story. So I actually do enjoy the Dalek Invasion of Earth for just really loads of reasons, because the rebels, they are quite good. They have really good characterization. I think many of the rebels, such as David, Tyler, Jenny, and I think also a few other people. I think there's a professor called Domentum, who builds loads of bombs for the rebels to use, and infiltrate the base and use them to create a distraction so they can destroy the Dalek flying saucer. And episode 1, when they saw the flying saucer, like, oh my gosh, there's an invasion force coming. Yeah, and I thought, oh my gosh, the world has just fallen to pieces and the world just ended. But the story behind the whole thing of how the Daleks came onto Earth and how did they, how did the invasion force start, which kind of intrigued me of how did they start in the first place, which was really interesting. And in episode 2, where this character sort of explains what actually happened to, how the Daleks came onto Earth and how they arrived here. So basically, they had a meteor showers of for about 10 years, and after that, when scientists called it was like a cosmic storm or anything like that, they were like just joking. But then, when the meteorite shower just completely ended, there was a plague infection that would kind of spread it out throughout the whole world in many different continents: Asia, South Africa, America, and Europe. All these other continents completely got infected by this contagious plague, and every human being were just dying out, being eliminated from the whole of the Earth, and the Earth was just completely deserted, absolutely deserted. Only a few people survived on those continents, but they are so far away from each other they can't meet up and take over and divide. And that's what there was a scene where David was talking to Barbara and Susan of how the people from different countries couldn't meet up, and there was so little of us, and so they divided us and conquer. So that's what the Daleks did. They kind of eliminated every single or hugest amount of people, and so they really reduced the numbers down of humans, so they wouldn't be able to form a big enough force to take down the Daleks. But it was a really, really good story. I have to agree that the Daleks, they were brilliant. Roaming around the whole of London was really iconic. Episode 3, where we saw the Daleks roaming around on the the cities, on the road, on the pavement of London, searching around for more rebels from their hiding places, turning them into Robo-Men and using them for their slave work. So it was just really good just to see them on the bridges, near the pavements and stuff like that. It was just really, really good, and all the statues and stuff. Just a really iconic scenes, really. And the chase scene was also good. I think just pushing the trolley, the running around was really good. I don't know how they actually got, or how they filmed the Dalek Invasion of Earth without any people suspecting or watching the actors do all of this. How did they do this? Did they actually postpone or close the roads down for, film reasons? What? They must have had loads of money in order to close down, or close down the roads of London so they can use to film, because it was just really empty, just completely empty. I mean, I don't know how they completely filmed all of this in a quiet environment. Anyway, episode 4, 5 and 6, this is where the plan just really takes into overdrive, and this is where the Daleks, explain and their devious plan on how to control, or how to conquer the Earth. Basically, they decided that it didn't matter who lived or who died about the humans. All they cared about was using the humans as a slave force. They didn't really care about if the humans would have resisted. If they would have resisted, then they would have been exterminated. And that was their key point. If you resist, you get exterminated. If you don't and you surrender, you get put onto the slave work. And basically they were trying to discover, or trying to find out what were the Daleks digging down there, and why were they doing it? Were there some Was there something in the Earth's crust that can, that the Daleks want? Or, could it be a precious diamond or something like that? I don't know. It could be a precious metal. I'm not sure. But the plan really took toll when the Daleks were explaining on using explosives, or to use it down the fisher's shaft, which basically put to mind that they actually have drills which have been drilling down to the center of the Earth, the core, and so the molten core. So that really put to mind that they were actually going to. I thought they were going to destroy the core, which if you destroy the core, you destroy the Earth initially. But the Daleks, I know them, they won't do that, because if they destroy the core on Earth, then they would destroy themselves initially. But they had a way of extracting the core and then replacing the core with a power system of their own. And so with that in mind, they could really put in a power source in there, and so they could use the Earth as almost like a plane, really. Imagine if the core was the pilots, and the Daleks were just piloting the whole Earth as a plane and flying it all around the universe. And so that's how the Daleks can conquer the Earth, using it as a plane to fly around the whole of the universe. But which, if that, thing actually succeeded, of how they could extract and use the whole thing of removing the core, that would still cause an explosion on Earth. It would completely destroy and cause a humongous, tremendous volcanic explosion, which can in fact destroy the entire world of Earth. So the whole lands, the seas, the whole cities and the buildings, there will be completely disastrous consequences, and they will completely be collapsed and destroyed. So that was literally their plan of how they could literally destroy Earth and yet control it at the same time and fly it all around the universe. That's what they wanted. They want, dominance and, possession of all the planets they can get their hands on and control them for their own evil deeds. So that's what the Daleks had in mind of using this plan in this story, which really brought to mind of how brilliant and how devious this plan is of theirs. I really did admire all of the key scenes that I quite liked in this, of explaining and how the getting out of the prison cells. I think there was one scene in episode 2 where they were trying to figure out a way of how to get out of the prison cell, all about static electricity, light refraction, and magnetic fields. Were really quite almost like a science lesson almost, which I quite enjoyed that scene. And so yeah, there were many scenes that I quite like. Excuse me, I'm just taking a sip of water. There we go. Oh, good sip of water helps now and again. Anyway, I think loads of the characters, they do just give themselves up and just basically they're just killed off, or completely just turned into Robomen. Robomen, they're almost like they're kind of, operating as slave workers, basically controlling and, finding more rebels to join their alliance and their slave force in order for them to drill more down into the Earth's crust and, extract the core and stuff like that. And so it was really a way of, using us humans for something else. And then once the humans did their jobs, they could just live. But no, I wouldn't trust the Daleks. I mean, I would have suspected that once the humans have finished off their work, they would just literally oh my gosh, I can't speak right. Exterminated, that's it. They would just get completely exterminated, because the Daleks have no points for them to live at all, so might as well get rid of them. I apologise for all my pronunciation. I just really speak too fast, and I just that's just me. That is just me. Okay, back to the story. Susan, this is her last story, and for a last story of Susan, I think that she did well. It was okay, not the best. She didn't appear in most of the, in the episodes. She really just, stayed on the sideline and just didn't really, she had a few scenes in it and that was it. And then what actually happened was that she basically only did a, couple of scenes with David, because David was, with Susan all the time, and they were having a good relationship, getting on a good happy relationship, and then David was trying to convince Susan to stay on Earth, and having that, and Susan was like deciding on whether she should stay or whether she would go with her grandfather, the Doctor, and the Doctor was deciding to let Susan go because the Doctor had been, you know, an old baffle, you know, all this time, and just because he wanted Susan to go on with his with her own life, to spend her life with David, and really he felt that the Doctor wasn't giving Susan a much needed of a life, really. Basically, Susan was taking care of the Doctor, but now the Doctor's now realised that she's now a woman and she needs to care for herself, and she has needing for her own life now, and so she doesn't really need to care about the Doctor anymore. And so Susan gets left behind, and in many of the stories where companions, you know, have an exit to the show, they just really you know, they leave the TARDIS based on a number of reasons. One, they are forced to leave the TARDIS. Two, they decide to leave the TARDIS based on their own choice, like they've had enough of time travel. Or three, they get killed off in some conspicuous situations, like in the Fifth Doctor's. I mean, I'm going to explain that a bit later on in years time. So I'm going to do that review a bit later on in a couple of months' time, where I have the time. So the Daleks, yeah, I do enjoy the Daleks. These Daleks are more menacing, they're more manipulative, very, you know, threatening in some ways. They just kill anybody who resisted, because it was their duty to stop any people from interfering in their plans. Even the rebels, they were planning something against the Daleks, but they just really couldn't hold off against the Daleks. They tried many ways of trying to succeed. The bombs didn't work. They tried to run down the Daleks. That worked, but only for the time being, because then the flying saucer landed a bomb and a huge explosion happened, and I always thought Bob and her Jenny was going to die just because they were in that truck, and they were just ran down a load of Daleks in their way, which was kind of a neat idea. I mean, if you couldn't go out and, you know, run over to the Daleks yourself, just use a big long lorry and just don't care, just go straight forwards with brute force. That's the way I'll do it, but just to get killed in the end. But it's just maybe a waste of a time, really. Anyway, overall opinion about the story, I do agree that the Daleks, they are more menacing, and they do own their place in the story. It's an invasion force, and it's just where the Daleks, they're more menacing. They have a bit of a more, you know, position in the story. There are, you know, people who there are machines, or, well, these Daleks are basically trying to infiltrate loads of the rebels and trying to convert them into Robomen. If they don't, they get exterminated, simple as that. And then basically the Daleks can continue with their devious plans in order to take over the world. So that was literally the whole plot line of this story, which I felt that I was quite really successful. Overall, I think it's well better than the original previous Dalek story that we reviewed last time. I think this one is much better, and I think I have to agree that I would have to give it a 9.6 out of 10. It's a really great Dalek story, I have to agree. Many people think it's too overrated. People think that it's rated too highly, but instead they really think that it's just completely, you know, not good, because maybe there were a few flaws in it. Maybe it was lacking so much pace. It was not really good in some scenes. There was loads of cameras everywhere. Probably loads of opinions probably could do with that. Perhaps tell me your opinions on the Dalek Invasion of Earth. Did you enjoy it? Have you ever seen it? Will you be able to recommend to buying it? I mean, I have to say personally to all of you out there, you must buy the Dalek Invasion of Earth, because this is the first ever story that the Daleks infiltrate Earth and invade Earth. And if you don't know how the Daleks did invade Earth for the first time, then definitely watch this. Although the quality may not be the best, some scenes are definitely iconic. I would have to say the Daleks roaming around the whole city was just the most iconic scene I quite like about the story. But also the quote as well at the end of the story, of where the Doctor's saying goodbye to Susan, which is an absolute iconic scene that must never be forgotten. It's the scene where basically, one day I should come back. Yes, I should come back, in that scene. And then until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. That quote is just so iconic. No Doctor Who fan can forget that quote. It's just super, ultimately iconic. And it's just one best things I quite like about this story. Just so many things that it's just unpredictable, very quiet in the beginning, and then suddenly gets really kicked into overdrive when it gets into the middle, and then the end, just really where the whole big explosion happens, the volcanic eruption, the bomb gets exploded, and the whole Dalek fleet are completely destroyed, and most of the humans survive, and then London is returned to its normal state. Big Ben is chiming again, people around, traffic's going on. It's really London back to itself again. But yeah, Susan gets left behind, and then yeah, that's the end of the Dalek Invasion of Earth in the whole, you know, summary. So guys, please tell me your views on the Dalek Invasion of Earth. Please do give a like to this video if you've really enjoyed it, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are new to my channel, because I really do hope in the next year we will hopefully get as many subscribers as possible. So I hope you have enjoyed this this review on the Dalek Invasion of Earth, and I will see you guys for the next review, which will be the Crusade in my Lost in Time box set. Now I have 2 episodes that are in good quality, and I have 2 episodes that are in audio quality, and I'll do an overall review on that for you. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys very shortly. Enjoy the rest of your day.